Okay. Hello. Today we are here with two colleagues of mine, Jessica Goudeau and Christine Miller, colleagues from our Wilkes Creative Writing Program. Welcome, Jessica and Christine.
Hello.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Delighted to be here to talk about their new project, which is a podcast called The Beautiful and Band. Wonderful, wonderful name. Tell us about the podcast, Christine.
Well, it's called The Beautiful and Band, and it's a wonderful take off of Fitzgerald's The Beautiful and Damned, which was a book that was banned in the 1920s. And the podcast is really about diving into banned books, plays, and films now and throughout history to just kind of talk about, we're in a special book banning era now, but we've been here before. And as society has proven over hundreds and hundreds of years, we will probably be here again. So Jessica had this brilliant idea to start a podcast about, talking about some of these banned books, because as we know, I think in 2023 alone, Jessica, you might have more specific number, but it's like over 4,000 books just in 1 year. Whereas over, for 20 years before that, over the course of 20 years, there was like maybe 2,000 something banned books. So we are seeing a major spike right now. And we thought that maybe it would be, I don't know, kind of interesting to see what all the fuss is about with with these books. And then because I'm a playwright and I work in television and film, I wanted to also add to Jessica's idea about books, about plays and films that have been controversial, challenged. Some have been banned. It's kind of hard to ban films in America, but there have been kind of regional aspects of that, and certainly with plays, a lot of things are being challenged right now. We just did an episode of A Raisin in the Sun, and that play is being challenged in a few school districts
Wow.
in the South. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Jessica, so you came up with this idea and tell me how you decide which books to feature.
Yeah. So part of this has been, part of it is just the joy of reading. And because it's so delightful to have conversations with my friend Christine, and we just kept saying, we should take this show on the metaphorical road, not the actual road, maybe the road of the internet. Also for me, and this is something I definitely want to talk about, a big part of this is about platform building. We're often talking about ways to reach readers. And as a writer with a book coming out in June and other books coming out, it's really important for me to find interesting and unique ways to build an audience. So that's part of what is happening here. And so when we think about books that we are going to be featuring on the podcast, some of that has been informed by my own writing. So sometimes we're wanting to vary it up. We want to make this an interesting conversation. We've read books that we're kind of making fun of. We start with The Beautiful and Damned, and much love to F. Scott Fitzgerald. He's also kind of making fun of society. There was an edge of humor to that we enjoyed in our conversation. But of course, when we're talking about Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye or Art Spiegelman's Mouse, it's hard to make jokes about systemic racism and the Holocaust. So we're wanting to find some of these deep dives and have really good, I think, poignant, I think important conversations about that. And then we had a really fun conversation about The Exorcist and wanted to kind of talk about ghost stories. So we're trying to find a way to build, I think, not just, really a way that feels organic to our friendship. Christine is a person that I both laugh and cry with, and we want to have conversations that feature a variety of emotions that kind of go throughout history, that aren't stuck in one vein, so that every week it feels interesting. But also for me as a writer, I'm often thinking, and maybe it's just because it kind of happens naturally, I'm connecting with works that have something to do with the work that I'm doing. And so I find that for both of us, who we are and what we bring to our writing is also, I think, informing the works that we're interested in. We have 4,000 plus books to draw from. We keep this podcast going forever.
Sadly, yes. I don't think you're going to ever have a lack of material. So now, Jessica, you're in Texas, and Christine's in Brooklyn. How does that work in terms of producing this podcast?
Well, we each have our blue snowball microphones, and that we pipe into our computers, and it's actually pretty incredible. We Zoom with each other so that we can have this conversation with each other, and then we have our specific tracks that we then send to our editor, who's wonderful. He's an editor and part producer of the show. He adds the music and interstitials. He created our what am I trying to say? He created our
Original song.
song.
Yes.
Thank you. Like dirt, dirt. He created our song, and he listens to. He kind of like cleans up our voices if there are too many ums, or he kind of edits things down. So it's really a wonderful working relationship that we have with Rob, and it's pretty amazing what you can do being states away. So we just make sure that our space is somewhat soundproofed, and we go from there. And it sounds really great. I mean, it's very professional.
Surprisingly, considering that I'm in my closet.
Yes.
We found this in my small closet. So I just go sit in there in a very sad little state on a TV tray. But it sounds much better than in my beautiful office, which has hardwood floors and a lot of echoey sounds.
Yeah.
Right.
Jessica, when we become like super big, what are we going to do about that little closet? We're gonna
I
end up in the studio, and then we're gonna reminisce about the times when we were in our closet in our bedroom.
Never ban the closet.
right.
No.
That's right.
So, as you know, of course, because you're in the program, we have students who are interested in participating in this project. And if a student were to decide to work with you, what would they do?
Yeah, that's a great question. And one I think is, we are both not just professors, but people who are making it using our art. And I think we use the word creatives a lot. Sometimes I find that to be an awkward term, like people get a little put off by that. But we are people who make our living by having a variety of jobs. We are writing, we are teaching, we're doing other things. And I feel like this podcast has actually been a real culmination of a lot of the skills that I have learned about pitching, about doing creative work. So when we picture having an intern, we're incredibly excited to have someone who is willing to do some emailing with us, who's willing to be thinking about social media and kind of interesting and creative ways that we might be framing this podcast. There are a lot of opportunities right now in the podcasting world to understand what's happening. There's been a real reckoning in podcasting, and independent podcasting is actually doing really well right now, even as networks are not going well. The listenership in podcasting continues to go up. So this is an exciting and I think a really fascinating time in podcasting. And we have really, I don't know, it's been a big learning curve for us, but I feel like an intern would learn a lot about podcasting, learn a lot from working with Christine and I about the rhythm of being in a creative life, what that means, be doing a lot of emailing, a lot of reaching out, a lot of pitching, a lot of social media posts, and also partnering with us to kind of think about ways to get word out about what we're doing. So in some ways, this could be open-ended depending on, their interests and kind of what they bring to the table.
And
Well,
also, I think also, connecting with editors and authors, we want to
Oh yeah.
we will be having authors on our podcast as guests, and connecting to their agents and their editors, and, creating relationships also outside of our podcast, but the people that we then start to connect with. So I think it could actually be a really exciting time for an intern to start to build those relationships now, early in their writing career, so that maybe there are going to be avenues down the road of ways that they could then put their work forward.
Right. Also, the last thing that I also want to touch on is some research. So this would be a light research. This is not research like what you're working on in a master's level paper, so much as helping us understand what books are out there, helping us understand the context around some of these books. moving beyond Wikipedia, but really finding works that they're passionate about. And again, so much of this is shaped by our interests, and we're looking for an intern to come in and partner with us in some ways and teach us some things and bring things that they're passionate about to our conversations. We have a really collegial working relationship, and we enjoy being together. I mean, we're friends, and that's a core part of this. So we're looking for someone that would come in with some great energy and some passion and some things they care about that could help shape some of the conversations we have.
Absolutely.
Wow. I mean, it is such an exciting project, and to dynamic colleagues and writers and teachers, I'm so happy that you guys are doing this, and I'm following along. I look forward to seeing you at the residency, and I'm sure that we're going to get a lot of interest among our fine student body to join the beautiful and band. All right. Thank you so much, Jessica and Christine.
Thank you, Phil.
Yeah.